I'm underestimated. I was underestimated by my
You know what though, Erin? That can be pretty addictive.
Being underestimated?
Mm-hmm. Welcome to the Fuck Suffering Podcast. I'm your hostess, Ray Hance. And today's guest is so beautiful and tender and vulnerable. And it was such a joy to talk to her and receive her full vulnerability. It's such an honor to do that on this podcast. And I'm always very moved when it happens. We talk about domestic abuse today, so there's your trigger warning. Survival and safety, craving chaos, nervous system regulation, trusting our bodies, and what is self-compassion? And what is our guest's question for the I Ching this week? How can I come home?
It's been so hard. Like, I've been trying to get away from this for over 2 years. And like, yeah, it's a whole huge thing that I'm actually going to have to write into a book to like really be able to process it, I think, because it was just such madness. And like, there were so many players involved and yeah, it was a lot. So luckily now I'm like away from all of that crazy violence that I was going through. And it's just like regular stress, like mom stress, you know, although on top of that, I do have a lot of like post-traumatic stress that I'm still dealing with, but I have lots of really good coping tools and knowledge and, you know, I'm okay. Yeah.
Do you let yourself grieve at all?
It's funny because my body hasn't really been letting me process emotions because I haven't been feeling safe enough yet. So I want to so badly, but I just haven't had that like place of safety just yet.
Do you have someone who can witness you there?
I go to therapy once a week. I could do it there. I probably do. I probably have a couple of people that would join me and like just listen for sure. Yeah.
Sometimes it's nice to have. I found that I could only really process. There was so much I could do on my own of like really feeling it in my body. And then there was the next level for me was definitely just somebody witnessing who could just listen and not fix and not just witness.
Well, what I'm realizing is that like part of what's so crucial for healing my nervous system is creating that community and those connections, like that actual like heart connection again, because so much of that was like impacted by what I went through. So even, you know, like, because what I have to process is really like heavy, and it's heavy for more than one reason. So many reasons, actually. I need to be in that space almost with someone who can hold me in love, because if I don't have that love element there, then it's going to feel terrifying, you know? Yeah. So that's actually kind of like why why I wanted to just jump on this opportunity to talk to you today, because I don't really talk to many people that often. And I really like a lot of what you say. You understand this whole process, like in and out. And that's really important to me. So you're a person, even though I don't even know you, I just know you from Facebook. Like, you feel like a safe person to me, you know?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That really means a lot to me to hear you say that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So I appreciate this too. It helps me. It's healing for me too. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Witnessing each other is so important.
Oh man, huge. Placing you in the universe where you are, and just like feeling what you are and knowing that that's okay. Like, that's just a space you need to occupy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that there's nothing broken.
No. Yeah.
There's nothing to fix.
Yeah. 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 Totally. Just let it like go through you almost, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. How much time we squander resisting letting it come through.
Yeah. So lately it's just been my body. Like, my body just hasn't felt safe, but it's because like I've still been sharing space with the guy who abused me.
Still?
Yeah, because of like what had happened. Like, oh my gosh. Like, do you want a really brief sort of summary of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as you're okay with having that on the podcast. You're anonymous, but
Okay. Yeah, sure.
okay.
Basically I went through a lot. Like, he was very emotionally and psychologically violent, and I was trying to get help from people like all around me, and no one believed me because he did that thing that they do where they like deflect the blame back onto you, and then it turns into like, I don't know if it does this for everyone, but it turned into like a witch hunt for me. So everyone who was supposed to be my support ended up turning on me, and that includes like my own mother. So basically
that had to sting.
Oh my gosh, it was like madness, honestly, madness. But my daughter ended up being apprehended because of all of it. So that was like on top of everything else, like very heavy to deal with. And like I myself was in the foster care system, so it like awakened my own foster care trauma, and I had no one around me. I had literally no one to help me. And so I kind of ended up going back towards him because he was able to help me with the things that I wasn't able to do because I was in such a state of freeze all the time. It was like really hard to function. So yeah, he did change quite a bit, like over the time. He's not psychologically and emotionally violent the way he was before, but there's been other things going on, like financial abuse almost, and just stuff like that. So yeah, but now it's all done. I'm finally making the big moves doing the scary things that I thought I couldn't do, and learning, I've learned that we are so much more resilient than we give ourselves credit for, and that we're so capable of doing things, especially as mothers. Like, we have almost like these innate healing systems within us. Like, apparently oxytocin is a stress hormone that's there to be able to help repair any damage that stress does to the heart. It goes in and like fixes it, which is amazing. So, I used to have like fears about like stress stuff, but now I don't, because I know that this really is such a healing situation that I'm in.
How's that?
How do you mean?
Like what part? What's the healing part?
Oh, being a mother, like being there and to be present with my kids and to take care of them. And by taking care of them, it's just like forming sort of circuits of love, which is exactly what I need. Yeah.
That had to be hard coming from a like foster care situation. And
well, you mean for my daughter?
For you?
Oh, for me. Well, I was in foster care and then I was adopted, but my adoptive mother she just doesn't know how to love properly. So that's why she actually was one of the people who ended up trying to take my daughter from me, and why Child Family Services was called on me. And so I like lost that. Not that she wasn't really supported in the first place, to be honest with you. People kind of showed themselves to me in this situation. So it was like a purge of sorts. Like purged by fire almost.
Did you get your daughter back?
Yeah, I did. I worked like really, really hard. I actually ended up teaching them things, the people at Child Family Services. And we got her back in October. So got her back in October, and then I had my baby in November.
With the man who is abusive to you?
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy because from the outside, I'm sure it seems like, why would she do that? But like really the whole time that I was doing anything at those, like during that period of time, it was all just like based on survival. Like it really was just survival and what I felt like was safe, even though it wasn't safe, because our brains kind of, that being wired for chaos thing can really lead you in the wrong direction.
It really can. Yeah. I know that circuit well.
Yeah.
And when it's a self-perpetuating circuit.
Oh yeah, it is. So you got to break it. It's circuit breaking, So that's what I'm doing right now is I'm circuit breaking. I'm doing the connection thing. I'm doing the reaching out to the community thing. I'm just doing the really believing in myself thing and trusting my body, like really trusting my body. Because I think like when your nervous system takes so many hits, it feels like you can't really trust your body anymore because suddenly like you have chronic pain and like you feel so much weaker than you normally do. It's just, I don't know, these are things that happen for me, but
or spots of numbness, where like it's gotten fried so many times that you can't feel anything there anymore.
Yeah, for sure. So you start to be like, well, what do I do now? Like, it's almost as if obviously there is that connection between you and your body is severed. And I think with that severance, there is a loss of trust in the body and like me being able to protect the body. And, it's crazy how deep like this goes when you go through some kind of like,
are you covering, I think you're covering your, I can't, there you go. Covering, right, I can't hear you. Yeah.
Okay. I was just saying that it's really wild just what happens when you go through interpersonal trauma and abuse, like just how deep it goes into like what happens within you, like even to the like soul level aspect of it, where now suddenly like the world is just an unfriendly place.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, look at how you're in touch with your body right now, where you're touching between your heart and your throat.
Oh yeah. That's where I carry a lot of tension. So I'm just kind of, I guess, giving it some attention right now, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But those are good things to notice because it's a way of noticing that your body is still is talking to you and asking you to listen.
Yeah, that's true. I totally believe in that or know that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah. Your body is going around your mind and tending to itself while you're looking elsewhere.
True.
It's trying to have your back.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. So yeah, repairing that relationship with my body has been a really big sort of intention that I've set lately, just to, especially because I wanted to come back into it after just being so separated from myself for that period of time, because it is pretty crazy just how much I lost myself because of everything that had happened there. Because you just go straight into like, it's almost like primal, like not fight or flight, but primal survival.
Mm-hmm.
Like you lose your personality. Anything that you had within you that was like your interests or things that made you feel like warm and gooey on the inside is just gone,
Right. It stops feeling safe to feel warm and gooey.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you take it away from you before somebody else can.
That's true. That's probably true. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sever yourself from it so no one else can. It's a way of having some kind of power.
Mm.
But it's a very painful form of power.
Yes, it is. And not sustainable.
Not if you want to be fully alive.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. It's
only sustainable. It's only sustainable to stay in survival mode.
Yeah.
And
I think even that doesn't have sustainability because it turns into illness in that later, like, yeah.
It does.
So I don't want that. My girls deserve better than that.
They do.
Yeah.
And so do you.
Thank you.
You deserve gentleness.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
And if you've been through a lot of trauma, that for me, that was a very difficult belief to embody, that I deserve gentleness. I had a really hard time with that.
Yeah. I've noticed before that I've like had a hard time conceptualizing just exactly what self-compassion is, which is so funny because I know how to do that for other people easily. I love being able to just show up with a huge open heart for people. But for myself, it's kind of like,
well, I have a slightly hard reflection on that for you.
Okay.
That if what you're giving to other people is not coming from self-compassion,
it's not real compassion.
It's more of a request for validation.
Yes.
Can you feel that? Like the difference there? Like when self-compassion is spilling over.
Right.
Versus when there's this
need to fill a space
and need to be seen by other people in a way that's more valuable than how you see yourself.
Right.
Does that land at all? Is that's kind of it's a little bit of a hardcore, but
well, that's okay. No, those are that like really help shift my perspective on things. So yeah, no, thank you for that. I do totally see that for sure.
And I think like self-compassion is going to come from that soft belly, that gentleness, that innate trust that if you're here, you're held.
Right.
That life itself is holding you. And the more you surrender, the more softly life will hold you.
Right.
But when that survival loop is the only loop firing.
Yeah.
It's so hard to believe that.
Yeah.
Because you see a catastrophe behind every corner. That's how I've been. I've seen.
Oh no, for sure.
If this person that's being loving must want something or like this. So you start to see, or I started to see a lot of threat everywhere. And it was very hard for me to let myself be loved because I had been dropped so many times. Dropped or punched or kicked, you know what I mean? Like physically and emotionally and financially, just like, ruined by people, by people who said they love me, you know what I mean? Like, so that's
supposed to be there for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like learning that deep, deep trust in life. Let me have better discernment and boundaries around people because I became so completely rooted and grounded in my body that I could feel immediately when something was out of alignment.
Yeah.
But when I was in full survival, my system was so lit with stress all the time and that lit in that freeze that the nuance of what was safe and what wasn't, I couldn't feel it.
It's hard to read. Yeah.
It's hard because it can't really make it through the freeze,
Yeah. Because it's just armoring.
Absolutely. Once you're in that clench, like the nuances just can't get through.
Yeah. That's one of my big goals is like trying to relax that armoring.
Yeah. I'm seeing you do that. Like you're there. Like, it's just a matter of titrating it. Yeah. Like how much can you do today?
Right.
How much can you land in your body today in this moment?
Yeah.
And you will get there.
Yeah. I think I am pretty like connected to my body considering what's happened.
Yeah. No, I can see that even in the way you're embodied just sitting there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, last year I had, I picked up, or actually it was a couple of years ago, I picked up Peter Levine's like at home trauma healing program. And so I couldn't do all of it. There's some things that I just couldn't do, but the titration thing, I did sort of like dip my toes into a bit. And then also I really liked the exercise where you would kind of just like touch your body and like connect with your body and be like, this is my palm. And then like just touch the palm. Like, this is my palm. I hold things in my palm. Like, this is, like reacquainting myself. Absolutely. And I would spend tons of time just doing it like every day. So I think that really helped a lot.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge because once you're in that home space of your own skin, from there you can set boundaries.
Yeah, and for sure.
And nothing will keep you out of an abusive relationship like trusting your boundaries.
And that's true because then when you're in your body, you actually know even where your physical boundary is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's huge. That
And
time
you can feel
know?
exactly. Yeah.
Where you are in
feel
time
every nuance. You can feel whether someone is trustworthy rather than see what I think, like what happens is a lot of times, if you have experienced a lot of trauma, you come into relationship asking someone to show you that they're safe. And to me, that is a terrible strategy.
Right.
Some of the worst people that I have encountered have absolutely told me they were safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not taking their word for it. Like, so for me, it's like, I'm going to do this work of all the grief, all the calcified grief that I have to grieve, all of the unmet memory in my body. I'm going to meet that and release it. If it's on all fours, birthing a grief baby on the bathroom floor, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Because I want that trust in myself to be primary so that I can show up so open no matter who I'm in front of, that I will feel whether they are trustworthy before they even open their mouth, because I'll be feeling them completely.
Mm-hmm.
And in full trust of my intuition, because I'm not then grabbing at anything. I'm not needing someone to rescue me. I'm not asking for that.
Yeah. For sure.
I'm asking only for mutual intimacy. And I will tell you that is absolutely possible.
I know it is, for sure. Yeah. I do know that every day I'm just, I'm seeing something else come alive in me that wasn't there before, that is helping me sort of gain that trust again in life and in myself.
Like
which feels
what?
good. I guess just, I think with, trauma, you get so separated from yourself. And I've been honestly really hyperfixated on healing, and it's pulled me away from being present with people, like everyone around me, And so now, since I have learned that thing about oxytocin and how it's actually even physically healing, which is amazing, and how it is actually a stress hormone, which is amazing. Like, that has just kind of allowed me to really confidently be able to show up for people, because I know that just by virtue of being present with people, that in itself is healing. There's no, the intention is there at the very foundation of it, but there's no need to constantly be
sometimes I think the whole frame of healing can end up being a little bit harmful. Like, I think of, to me, as I was going through my integration, to me, the restoration of belonging,
yes,
was what made me feel whole and like I belonged in the world again.
That's beautiful.
Like a restoration of belonging. Like, I think when we get into this healing thing, we think of it as this, it becomes almost like a self-centered and also damaging enterprise, this hard work of healing that we're doing. Well, first of all, it's not hard work, and it's not done alone.
Yeah, exactly.
To me, putting primacy on the restoration of belonging just felt more like being pulled back, being drawn back into life.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That is so true. And that is just what me and, because last time I went to my therapist, this is what we talked about, was one of the pillars of resilience is community. And you can't heal your nervous system without other people. Right. And so that restoration of belonging is that right there.
Yeah. It's spiritual, it's physical, it's psychological, it's every level, it's ecological.
This is so cool to me, because I feel like we just brought this conversation full circle, which feels like such a completing, that's really cool to me.
So did you bring your 3 coins?
Oh shoot. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I've been crazy. I've been so busy trying to get supports together, and
no, you're single mama with babies. We can take a couple minutes for you to find some coins.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that I can find it. Would you be able to throw for me?
Sure.
Okay. I trust you. I know that it'll work through you for me.
I think it will.
It's how it's meant to be if I can't find any coins.
Exactly. It takes a village, right?
That's right. Exactly. Oh, perfect. Another full circle right there.
Yeah. So what are your questions today?
Oh boy. So how should I, like, how general, or I'm sorry, I should have asked these things first. Like how general,
relax.
or
Hey, stop for a second.
okay.
Take a nice deep belly breath with a super, let the exhale be as long as you can possibly make it.
Okay. Here I am.
One more.
Okay. Okay. And water. Okay.
So what question's most alive for you today, like right now?
I guess.
Where's your intuition struggling to get through?
It's funny because there just seems to be so much. I guess about homecoming, like I suppose I don't know. I'm sorry.
It's okay. There's nothing to apologize for. Just feel into it. Just
like, could you give me an example of a question?
No.
Okay.
You know what a question is.
I know. Let's put it that way.
I can't know what you trust yourself. What's most alive for you right now? What does your body say? Where's that spot that you were touching between your heart and your throat? What's in there? What's getting stuck there?
I have this feeling about like creativity, being able to create from my heart using my words, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like maybe there's a blockage there with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of financial trauma that I'm going through. And I find that money is always this thing that's like on my mind.
Okay.
Am I covering the microphone? So I guess maybe like, how will I go about being able to change my financial situation, or what can I do to change it? Because I'm feeling pretty lost on that.
Where are you most open to receive? What do you receive most easily?
Lately, I've had people coming to me offering me support, like you, for example. And then also I have like my friend Robin who does, and my friend Barb. So I guess as soon as I came out, like as a single mom, lots of support from people started pouring in that way.
How long has that been?
Just a few days. Or it was like pretty pretty blocked. Like there wasn't anything happening. But I believe that that's because I was in a situation I wasn't supposed to be in. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I would like to be able to change besides the obvious for my kids and, make my home more comfortable, I'd like to be able to have more freedom creatively, to be able to do more with my creativity, like writing. And that would involve like buying a computer and that kind of thing.
And so you would like to invite in the resources to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So do you feel like there's a lack in the creative resources that you have available to you, or just the financial resources?
It could be a little of both. Okay, yeah.
So it is more of an overall receptivity question.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So then what
Thank
would
you.
that
down?
Oh, no problem. I do this all the time with people. It's fine. So then what's the heart of that? What's your deepest desire under all that? What's the thing that you want the most? Is it it's obviously not just having like like the actual money. Like what does that money, what's the desire that money could bring you?
I'd like to play music. I'd like to learn how to play the bass guitar and actually write music too. I'd like to produce it. And I know there's a book that I need to write, maybe a couple books that I need to write. And I was actually sitting and painting with like my daughter's painting stuff earlier, feeling kind of like, this is cool. Like I could get into this even just to help, because a lot of what I'm feeling feels like it doesn't make sense. So I'm really into abstract art. So doing some abstract painting on an easel would feel so cool to just like take it from in here and then like put it onto the canvas.
So it sounds like it's more about what's keeping you from your full expression.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, homecoming. Like I really want homecoming. And this is actually something that is really big with adoptees, because when you put up for adoption, you're put into a family that isn't like you. And you never really get to learn anything about you. Most of the time, there aren't a lot of adoptive parents that like really help their child come alive into who they are. Often and it's unintentional a lot of the time too, with, just sort of like assimilating into the environment that you're living in and with the people that you're living with. So with adoptees, it's very much like the reclamation of the self, like bringing you back home that kind of got lost in the ethers when you were put up for adoption, or maybe even at birth.
That's a big pre-verbal trauma.
Oh yeah, it is for sure. But totally healable. And I've been working on it for a long time now. So I feel really good about it. I know that it's going to be possible.
I mean, there's one where restoration of belonging is really root deep.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, sometimes the mother trauma of it, especially because mine is not a loving mother, like my adoptive mother is not loving. It's almost like unfathomably deep, that mother wound sometimes. So it feels.
Are you still in touch with her?
No. She tried to have my daughter taken from me. That to me is like, I don't even know how to really describe just the kind of pain that causes. And like just confusion.
Yeah. What did she say about that?
She's just always kind of been a woman who never really saw me and never had any faith in who I am. just doesn't, she used to tell me all the time, like, oh, you can't do things. You need people to do them for you, or, just kind of really, really disempowering. So that's the perspective she took when I had a baby, was like, oh, Aaron can't take care of this child. That's preposterous. So she did everything in her power to try to take her from me. But unfortunately, she doesn't see me for who I am. And that's why I say, like, I'm really, what's the word? The word when people don't recognize you for who you, like, what you are. I put it on Facebook yesterday or something. I can't remember, but basically it's like because people don't see me for who I am, I'm able to, like, sneak in from the back and, like, do it outside of their, vision and get it done kind of like camouflage style, like underestimated. I'm underestimated. I was underestimated by my
mother. What though, Erin? That can be pretty addictive.
Being underestimated?
Mm-hmm.
Mm. That's an interesting thought. How so?
Because then what are you responsible for? You don't ever have to actually step into your power.
Mm.
And this is, I think, kind of connected to the thing of, like, well, I'm going to take it away before somebody else does.
Right.
I'm going to take it away from myself so like nobody can take it from me.
Is this a response of being, like, maybe afraid of your own power and capabilities?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And the responsibility that would come with it, especially if you've been told a lot of your life that you wouldn't be able to handle that.
Right.
So where's the part inside that still believes that?
Right.
And still has that. I mean, I personally, like, I can't, it is hard to imagine that root wound of being given up at birth, even though you can intellectually understand it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, the necessity of it and how somebody thought they were doing the right thing,
Yeah.
And maybe they were, you know what I mean? Of course, like, we all have our own versions of reality, but, like, I think, like, get the healing paradigm, thinking that you're supposed to get over that, is not, like, that's why I kind of hammer away, like the restoration of belonging is like, I can belong to this world anyway. I belong to the whole world.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I've kind of wrestled with that, like, how do I heal that? Like, how does the person
integrate it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. I did that and I belong, and my sense of belonging has been shaped by that, but not destroyed by it.
Right. Yeah. That's good.
And can you still, and like, can you still maintain, can you be at ease in that sense of belonging without having so much to prove that you set yourself up for procrastination and perfectionism?
Right.
And
that is the way I go too.
Right. And that's a pretty common thing in that situation. Like, I'm going to show just how much I belong instead of being at ease in true belonging.
Right.
True belonging has ease. If there's nothing to prove, you simply belong. You were born belonging.
Yeah.
And then you have the ownership of your own skin. Like, you're not ripping open your own skin to get someone to affirm your belonging, because it simply always forever is.
Mm-hmm. These are really interesting things to contemplate. I've never actually thought of it that way, but I think that I've sort of tossed the idea around in my mind before, but I haven't really planted it in the ground like that. But that's really, again, that kind of brings us back to the belonging, connection, community thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. That's cool to see that, because I have been sort of noticing how parts of what happened do have their roots in, the pre-verbal trauma.
Mm-hmm. There's no abandonment in ecology.
Right. Yeah.
There's only transformation.
Right. Yeah. So this now, because, when I was going through the nightmare part of what happened a couple of years ago, when I had no connection and I felt invisible and basically totally alone. That in itself was setting me up to be able to come back home with the pre-verbal adoption trauma.
Say that again.
So because like a major theme in what's happened with like since the beginning, like when the violence started to now, and especially because it happened during the pandemic, which really made so few things available to me, and people like way more standoffish to getting involved to help.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like just so desperately alone in it. And I already have like an innate alone feeling anyways, being an adoptee. So that in itself was like pretty crushing, but it's interesting to see how, having experienced that, it sets me up to be able to like reintegrate that part of me that feels so alone by doing the connection thing and doing the belonging thing to help that part of me. That
and
really
you're doing it right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's so cool. No, it's been such a trip to look at, like, to sort of really piece apart what's happened and what I've experienced and what I'm gleaning from all of it. And it really does fit in so nicely, like little puzzle pieces into the long-term, big time integration parts. So like this was like a microcosm of my macrocosm, sort of.
Yeah.
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 And it's interesting too, because with the macrocosm, that's why it was like so intense, because it was like that much internal chaos kind of condensed to like 1 year instead of my whole entire life. You know what I mean? Or like that those events happening when I was little, when they were like the most impactful, like just being like a newborn and confused and terrified. Because that's really what happens with babies who are given up that young. So I see how they're reflected there. Like I just see how they're connected.
And can you honor that experience in yourself rather than just being like, I got to heal this. I got to heal this. I got to heal this.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in some ways, what an opening that is.
Like you mean an opening into being able to be present and gracious with that?
In some ways, it's like a very early portal into suffering.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
For like having your heart broken open
and
becoming deeply, widely, incontrovertibly human. So is your question, how can I come home?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to shake the coins for you.
Okay.
And you tell me when to throw them.
Okay. Okay, go. Oh, shoot, my baby's crying. I have to go grab her. Can you hang on a second?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Oh, look at that, sweetiekins. Hi. All right. Tell me when to throw.
Okay.
You have just one hexagram with no changing lines.
Oh.
It's a very simple, clear reading.
I'm right on.
And it's hexagram 35, which is ease.
Ease.
Huh. And I thought it was funny as you were saying, as we were throwing, how can I come home with your beautiful baby on your lap?
Yeah. Yeah.
As you're just bouncing. Is that a little boy?
Girl.
A girl. What's her name?
Daisy.
Stacy?
Daisy.
Daisy. Oh, Daisy. Oh, that's my favorite. Daisies and peonies.
Aw. We just thought that Daisy was just the cutest name, so we had to go for it. Sweet little Daisy. Hey, that's you. You're my sweet little Daisy.
35. It's so interesting because it's really everything we've been talking about. It's fire over the earth. It's emergence beyond embodiment, spacious and permeable skin, surrender to ease. You are naturally splendid. What you do is as obvious as and inevitable as what a plant does. You simply move with the time. You are revealed as it is revealed. You emerge from causes and conditions without friction. Your body knows what to do. Let it lead. When things move in this way, you know you are with what is yours, doing what is yours to do. You don't feel confused, do you? No more than the sun and moon are confused about exactly where they belong in this moment and what they are doing. Weather may obscure their light here and there, but the sun and moon keep showing up. Yield to motion like sun and moon, steady and reliable. They make vast and easy progress across the sky, illuminating everything. You are their companion, luminous like this. You are out of danger of self-abandonment as you feel the ease upon you now. The self of non-self, embedded, embodied, enacting. You don't need to wear yourself out going against the way. Continuous ease. Ease brings stability, relaxation, stability, clarity, patient, kind, and nourishing, eternal, intimate, pure, and joyful. This is the hexagram of the Bodhisattva at work. Compassionate, easy expressions of great power. Power flows now supple as a summer river. Be grateful for this time of ease. Respect what is sufficient. No need to push for more. No need to push at all. Allow the river to run through you. Don't dam it. Put your feet up and let it carry you. No gushing, just flowing. Our culture mistrusts ease. I mean, if we embrace ease, can laziness be far behind? They're very different. Only one has self-compassion in it. Don't confuse them. You will be received how you receive. Receive and be revealed. Do you hear that? Receive and be revealed.
Wow.
Only your responsiveness is in your control. Open your system to all available free energy. Move with it and order will emerge. A lot of people confuse slave mentality and work ethic. A good work ethic doesn't demand extraneous effort. It's not about showing how hard you can push, but how you can do what needs to be done. Can you feel that difference in your body? Ease begets confidence. Extra effort limits. When we talk about that je ne sais quoi or it factor that someone has, it's usually ease. Ease increases your attractiveness tenfold.
So I feel like that has very much to do with what we were talking about with trust.
It absolutely does.
Yeah. Wow.
With all the things we were talking about, trust, embodiment, receptivity, not forcing things,
Yeah.
The restoration of belonging, rather than the force of healing, the force and isolation of that healing paradigm.
Right. Yep. Wow. That's very nourishing.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I was talking to someone before about how, like, the more that I learn about what it takes to, unwind from stress and trauma and all that, it really is less is more. And even with Stephen, I think his name is Stephen Porges, his polyvagal theory exercises, where like there's some, I think the main one is just the most simple thing ever. It's just you just lay on your back with your fingers like sort of threaded together, and then you look over to your right for a minute or until you like exhale or release some energy, and then you look over to the left. Like that is it. And that's in nervous system healing exercise that he gives.
That long out breath also brings, with the out breath being so much longer than the in breath, that brings the parasympathetic nervous system online as well. So simply. So simply.
Interesting. Yeah, so simple.
Yeah.
I love it. It's great.
Yeah, I think exactly.
You know?
And I think sometimes when we have it feels so heavy that it feels like that there's going to be a strain required to remove it, instead of understanding that by softening it will release.
Right. Yes. That makes so much sense too. Because then you're, if you think of it as like releasing constriction around something, like a snake wrapped around something, like you can only remove it once it's uncoiled its body from it.
Exactly. You're much better off hypnotizing the snake into relaxation than you are trying to pry it off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aww. Yeah.
Also going through a leap right now, so she's very like cuddly and just needs to be held all the time.
Do you love that?
I do, to a certain extent.
Like, and then you're like, get this Velcro baby on me.
Yeah. No, but for sure, she's so sweet. She's just the sweetest. Hey, you sweetie.
Hi. Oh, hello. Oh. All right. Well, I'll let you go tend to your mama things.
Okay. Thank you so much. That's awesome. And you read that from your book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. That's great. Thank you so much. This has been really, like I said, very nourishing conversation, and it's exactly what I needed today. And I love how it all just sort of like divinely like lined up.
Thank you so much for joining for the Fuck Suffering with me, Ray Hance podcast today. I hope you enjoyed yourself. If you would like a personal reading like I do for people on the podcast, come to rayhance.com, REIHANCE.com, and go to the Oracle of Emergence page. If you'd like the book I use on this podcast, it's called Oracle of Emergence, an Evolutionary I Ching, and that's available on Amazon. If you're interested in a one-on-one session, pocket coaching, one of my Fuck Suffering practice groups, or a one-day boundaries and belonging session, you can also come to the website. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on the Facebook, and you can find me on my YouTube channel. I'm really all over the place these days. It's my great pleasure to introduce people to the I Ching. And I hope you develop your own relationship with it. And I hope you come back and listen again and subscribe, rate, and review so that this baby podcast can find its way in the world. Thank you so much for listening. See you next week.